Good evening, Nigerians. Good evening, everybody, and welcome to We the People show, happening live from Vancouver City in Canada, talking to Nigerians, and people all over the world. I am your presenter and anchorman, Obidima Ako, the one you call Abdul. And today we are supposed to look at the 29 years of democracy and the narrowing spaces for media freedom in the Tinubu's administration or the Tinubu's government, right? And the intro to this program is the report by a non-governmental organization or like a watchdog that is known as the Press Tracker. And the Press Tracker is known for monitoring, press freedom violations in Nigeria. They've been there for decades now, monitoring press violations and freedom of expression in Nigeria. And according to their reports, they've been able to identify. They've been able to identify about how many now? Okay, they say according to the report they have on their website. I'm on their website now, and according to the report they have on their website, they said they've been able to track about 26 attacks on the press since Tinubu assumed office. They've been able to record or track this number of cases, and according to them, the agencies that are responsible for violating these press attacks are the military, the DSS, and the police. They are the three agencies mentioned according to the press tracker who have been perpetrating these violations on human rights. Several journalists have been arrested, some abducted. Some media institutions are being harassed, severally, and everybody is now asking questions. Is this what this democracy should be after 29 years? I'm supposed to have a guest today to discuss this issue, but my guest is having a network issue. I don't know if my guest will be able to join the program. I'm trying to see if I can connect with him. I'm supposed to have Prince McDonald Enwere as my guest, but let me try. He's battling with network. Let me try and see if he can connect to the program. And let me see if his network is okay now. And yeah, Madonna, let me see if I can connect with him because his network is not really having issues. Okay, so McDonald, can you hear me?
Yeah, I'm hearing you, Abdul.
Okay, okay, good. All right, I think this is better now. We can roll with this. Yeah, we've been battling to do this setup since, but network has not spared us. Thank God we are finally here now. Okay, so McDonald, let me introduce you first. Prince McDonald Enwere is a public affairs commentator. He's also the MD of Bold Media Limited. He's been a very vocal social commentator, for years now, and he's also one who monitors what happens in the media. So, McDonald, you're welcome to the program, first of all.
Thank you, Abdul, for having me.
Okay. So, we're trying to look at, before we go to media issues and all that, this is 29 years of democracy. We started in 1999. This is 2004. 2024. And we're talking about 29 years of civil rule. Some people say it can be best described as, civil rule. Some people still say it's democracy, no matter how you look at it. But what's your take? We've been having, diverging views on this. What's your take?
Thank you very much. From a global view, Democracy, to us and personally to me, is the best form of government because it is the only government that places the people at the epicenter of governance. And it is really interesting that Nigeria is one of the countries that is practicing this democracy. But from all intent and purposes, I think the aim of democracy is to make sure that the people which who are the ought to be the beneficiary of this concept of governance, are placed at the helm of decision making. But bringing it down to Nigeria here in Nigerian setting, I can authoritatively say that Nigeria, democracy has not really, fared well in Nigeria. I know that it is a transition, is a process, that started some years back, and by the special grace of God, this is 29 years. Some people may say that the process is unbroken or the process has been uninterrupted, but to me, with what is happening in Nigeria presently, I think democracy as a form of government has not been giving or meeting up the expectation of that concept of government. So, celebrating 29 years of democracy in Nigeria, it's something that we must, do a very clinical and a critical reflection over, to ask ourselves, are we really practicing this democracy? Because in any democratic concept, there are basis indices and factors. There are cornerstones and pillars that form the democratic process, the democratization process. So if you bring these indices and factors into play, vis-a-vis in Nigerian setting, you ask yourself, are we really practicing democracy? Have we met up with the cornerstones and the pillars that fine-tune the concept of democracy? So if I may ask answer that question, I would say that Nigeria is not doing well. So we are not really practicing what democracy is all about. We are only trying to emulate the concept of democracy, but all intents, Nigeria is not, at the real practice of this concept of government. Putting into consideration some of the things that are happening in Nigeria today, and also in previous governments, even
going to
compared
come
with
to
this
that.
present government.
I'm going to come to that. But when we say when we pass this verdict and say we rate democracy low or it's not performing, and all that, who do we blame? Because people have always made this um, generalization of blames and say, we are not we. Somebody must take responsibility. Somebody must be held accountable for what is going on. Who is to be blamed? Do we blame the leaders or do we blame the citizens, the followers? Are the leaders leading well? The followers, are we following well? Because it seems to be like a two-way traffic. So who is to be blamed in this situation?
Thank you very much. Like I said, democracy is a participatory process. The people are expected to participate in the process, and the leaders also, are also expected to form some institutions that will help to define or to modify the concept of democracy. Now, taking it from that point of view, you will agree with me that here in Nigeria, to me, if we am to blame, I will blame the institutional framework which has, which were conceptualized and formed by the leaders. The problem we have in Nigeria today is we don't have leaders who understand what democracy is all about. We don't have leaders who understand the intents and purposes of democracy from its framers. We don't have leaders who are constrained to lead in accordance with the principle and indices of democracy in the global purview. That is the problem. Although I am not ruling out the fact that the citizens have their own role and responsibility to play in ensuring democratic process, but be that as it may, the leaders and the onus lies on our leaders to ensure that this process of democracy or this concept of democracy are being stretched and entrenched for the protection and for the general interest and well-being of the people. Taking Nigeria as a perspective, you will believe with me that from the inception of democratic process till this present period, one of the shortfalls or the main shortfall we have recorded is lack of purposeful leaders. We have leaders who have voracious appetite of voracious appetite. We have leaders who are corrupt. We have leaders who have failed to understand what democracy is all about. So if I am to blame, I will, the leaders will take 80% blame. Abdul, you will understand and you will believe with me. There are, like I said earlier, there are factors or indices you will look at. You before you arrive on the point that yes, we are practicing the book. One of them is the protection of the fundamental right of citizens. Do we have leaders who understand what fundamental rights of citizens are? Another thing is the institutionalization of regulatory frameworks that are geared towards promoting democratic process. Do we have leaders who understand what these things are all about in Nigeria? The answer is no. So to me, the leaders are the main problem. The leaders are the main fundamental causes why we have failed, to practice democracy to its climax.
according to
So
you.
that's my view.
Okay. Well, if we try to have a comparison of the various governments since this democratic experiment, as some people say, since 1999, we've had the Olusegun Obasanjo government, which some people would say was a Kake man, was a soldier. And after him, you had Yaradua, who unfortunately couldn't stay long for us to know his true color. But the little signs he showed at that time, he tended to be a man of goodwill, as some people, will say. But even at that time, I remember very well, vividly at that time, there were also criticisms about the way he was going about corruption. Because that was when Ribadu was removed. Ando Aka was exercising, as the Attorney General was exercising, you know, very uncontrollable powers in the government at that time, in terms of fighting corruption. But he didn't stay long, so we'll give it to him. Then we have Jonathan, who succeeded him, and Jonathan, some would say we also had violations of human rights under him, you know. But economy wise, it does seem that Nigeria made some breakthrough because at that time Nigeria was either touted or affirmed as the number one, I mean the biggest economy in Africa or the biggest market in Africa at that time. The economy was growing at I think 6% GDP at that time. So that's gone, and then we have the Buhari government. When Buhari Before Buhari came, there were high expectations that the man was going to, change the fortunes of Nigeria for better. Everybody thought this man was a reformist. He's an anti-corruption czar. He's intolerant of indiscipline and all that. So we thought the man was coming to cleanse the urgent table. But lo and behold, Nigeria seemed to be drawn, years backwards after his 8 years in government. And now we have the Tinubu government. Even though the process for which he emerged through has been very controversial, the percentage of votes he had that is making him the president of Nigeria. If it were in other countries, they would have gone for a rerun because I'm sure he didn't have up to 30% of votes of Nigerians of over 200 million, to govern Nigeria. But now he's the sitting president and he enjoys all those, powers of the Nigerian president, which so many people have said are too much because the Nigerian president is like a god. He can even decide whether you breathe or not. But then he's the president now, and this is a man who fought in the trenches for democracy. As everybody knows, he was part and parcel of the struggle for democracy in Nigeria. I remember in my when I finished my secondary school and I was waiting to get admission into the university, I was listening to Radio Kudirat that was broadcasting somewhere from outside Nigeria. And I listened to Bola Ige, I listened to Wole Soyinka. I listened to Ralph Obioha. I listened to Bola Tinubu. I listened to so many of them. The Nadeko movement at that time, Dan Suleiman and Colonel Roma and all those people. I was listening to them, and they were talking tough about democracy. They were very, very unrepentant in their belief in protest, and fight for justice and all that. But lo and behold, Tinubu is the president now. And a report I even made a mistake in the report as I was, giving it out. The report shows that about the since May, yeah, the report shows that since May, according to the press tracker, there have been 37 incidents of press freedom violations between 29th of May 2023 and 29th of May 2024. We've had journalists who were abducted by military men in their houses, blindfolded, flown to Abuja, and put in underground detention facilities. We've had journalists who had been, kidnapped. In fact, in Abia State, police police broke into a live program that was going on and picked up, you know, so a guest while the program was going on. They had to scuttle the program, a live program, adopted the guy from there. So many others happening in Imo State. We've had media house, the state watch, Nigerian watchdog was summoned by the Imo State House of Assembly to come and brief them on their publication in a democracy, right? So, Tinubu, don't you think Tinubu should have done better? If you are listening to what Senator Obasani told him, he said that he is the chief protester. He funded protests, he supported protests, he participated in protests. Under his administration, should we have any protester languishing in detention? Should we have any agitator languishing in detention? What do you make of this?
Thank you very much. That is very reprehensible and unfortunate because I will agree with you that President Buhari, he was a pro-democracy activist, who severally led protests, and he led several protests in this country, agitating for good governance, agitating for the protection of the fundamental human rights, and also fighting previous administrations. And he was brought to limelight, through the help and the instrumentality of the media. So it is really unfortunate. It is really disheartening. It is really incredible that this same man who was brought to political limelight,
You mean Tinubu, right? Not Buhari.
I'm talking about President Tinubu, who led several protests against what they termed as inhuman policies against the people. It's quite unfortunate that the same president, now that is at the leadership saddle, has also put some restrictions against, against expression of opinion and the free speech in the country. It is really unfortunate. Now, taking a lead from the administration of President Muhammad Buhari, I think I can say that yes, President Muhammadu Buhari has had his own shortfalls, and also there are some areas which he also contributed and also made some milestones, especially in the area of economy. I think his administration did it best, but in the area of security, that government didn't do well. The administration of former President Olusegun Obasanjo, I think that administration was also, to a large extent, was civil a bit. That administration protected to an point the interests of the people. The level of corruption presently we are seeing in this present, dispensation cannot be quoted, with what happened in the administration of the former President Olusegun Obasanjo. Now, likewise, the president of the administration of President Goodluck Jonathan. Goodluck Jonathan, to me, boosted the nation's economy. He also fought corruption to its barest, minimum. He also made sure that the image and the image of the Nigeria was protected and also defended at the international level. He put in his bet. He assembled best brains. The likes of Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala, the likes of Professor Soludo, the likes of Sanusi them, and so many of them who also joined hands together and build a cohesive force that led to the that led to the building of the nation's economy and some of the variables and the milestone that administration recorded. Now, coming back to this present administration, just like you said, President Tinubu was a pro-democracy activist. Despite the fact that there is this allegation that his mandate was not, instituted by the people. His mandate was not. He was not given a legitimate mandate, according to what is out there. But one expected this present administration, to come up with policies that will go a long way in defending and protecting the interest and well-being of the people, knowing fully well that it is the same people who was with him, who supported him when he was in the street on the street of Lagos, who supported him when he was in the street of Abuja protesting against successive government. So we expected that this present administration would have done everything humanly possible in putting laughter in the face of the Nigerian citizens. We also expected that this present administration would have also done everything humanly possible in rejigging the economy of the nation. It is quite unfortunate that is what is happening in Nigeria today. The people are crying. The masses are crying. There is no hope for the people again. The people are in pain. It is really unfortunate. It is really disheartening. So we expected this government, even if they are not doing well. We are raising these issues for this present administration to put their house in order. That is why we are talking, and that is why we are expressing our feelings. If things continue the way they are, my brother, believe me, the hope of the masses will be in shambles. So coming back down, I think I would say that this present government, well, yes, 1 year in office, I think they still have a long time, 3 years at the thereabout. So we still have time. We will still have patience with them to give them time and also to give them all the necessary support, having in mind or having that confidence that they will try and ensure that the well-being and interests of the people are adequately met as expected.
Okay, so can we take a look at the policies of the government? The two prominent policies that the government talks so much about today is the not just the government, even the citizens, everybody is talking about. Today is the removal of fuel subsidy and the floating of the naira. And these two policies have had their bites on Nigerians. But the government keeps saying, look, this is like the teaching process, okay? It's usually painful. I mean, the president gave an analogy of a pregnant woman and said, this is like the pains of childbearing. So you're going to have the pains at the initial time when you're in labor, and then after you'll be happy and have your baby and you'll be so happy. I mean, are you expecting that moment of happiness for Nigerians? Do you think we are passing? I mean, do you agree with the president's analogy? And do you think Nigerians should expect the joyful era when the baby is, born? So, do you think the policies being put in place presently by the government are ones that can actually be said to have or to be justifying the assertion or the claim of the
Okay, thank you. I think it would be wrong for me to begin to wrongly preempt this present administration. It's an administration that is just 1 year in office. So there is, to me, all hope is not lost yet. So there is still hope, and we still expect that this present government will, will still come to the listening to the yearning of the Nigerians. So, but it is an opportunity for the present administration, for President Tinubu, to put his house in order, because any government that has no direction will end up hitting the rocks. Any government that has that have no streamlined and the people-oriented policies that are geared towards protecting and defending the well-being of the people, that government will soon crash. So what we are saying, I won't preempt this present administration now, but I still have the confidence and the hope and the belief that the administration will listen to the yearning of Nigerians, will listen to the yearning of the Nigerian masses, especially towards building some laudable and foundations that will help to especially in the area of economy. The nation's economy presently, if you will agree with me,
It seems to have a glitch there with your connection. Okay, we'll try to see if we can reconnect back. I think we have a little glitch there. It's sounding. Okay, see if you can connect back. Yeah, I want to see if we can. Okay, I think it's back now. Let's see if it's better now. Had a little glitch there. Not the type of INEC glitch. Oh. Mm. Let's see if it connects back. Can he get back? Oh, I don't think he made it. Okay. I hope it connects back and then we can continue the discussion with him. Okay, so the question I wanted to ask him before this happened was, yeah, it was about when they say 4 year tenure, 4 year tenure. But we all know that this 4 years is not 4 years. Okay, so the first year they usually do their 1 year settling down. They'll give excuse of 1 year settling down, and then the second year they will do one or two things. By the time it's the third year, they are talking about re-election. And uh, the third year and the final year, the fourth year, becomes election, election issues. So the people actually get to enjoy governance maybe in the second year and probably the early part of the third year. So this idea of saying we can't assess government by 1 year, I don't think it's true. In Abia State, we have Abia State where the governor is showcasing a lot already, so achieving a lot already in 1 year. It's the same style and the same tenor and the same kind of government they are running. So if Governor Oti in 1 year is, I mean, recording some milestones in governance, what about the president who is at the federal level, who controls the entire, resources, armed forces, and all the, government apparatus? So he should do better. 1 year, we should be able to feel the impact of governance in 1 year, but we can still give him that benefit of doubt and say he's not enough to judge in 1 year. I'm just buying time to see if McDonald can connect back to us and then we can continue the discussion. But from the way it is, it does seem that it does appear his network is really, really bad now. I wish he connects back. I think his network is really, really bad. Okay, so going ahead with the issue at hand, we are really, really disturbed by the fact. Okay, I think it's here. Let me see if it connects now. Yeah, McDonald, can you hear me now? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. Okay. So, from what you said, I wanted to ask you because people will always make reference to this 1 year in office is not enough to judge. Professor Soyinka has said that. Several people are saying, 1 year is not enough to judge. But we know in Nigeria that this 4 year term is technically about 2 years. They come in the first year, the second year. By the end of the second year, they're already talking about re-election. Even now, so many people have started talking about re-election when the first year is just ending. So do you think there will be enough time again for them to showcase governance, considering the way they play politics? Because by second year, the next thing you see are different groups. Tinubu support group, this group, they will start coming up. They'll start, cropping up. I mean, creeping up from everywhere. So, do you actually think this idea of 1 year is not enough to assess is good? Because in other states, we have seen 1 year in action. We have seen 1 year of achievement, 1 year of milestones. You know, so does it hold water to always say 1 year is not enough?
Okay, well, I never say that 1 year is not enough to assess, the performance of this present administration. What I'm seeing is that an administration that has a 4 year tenure, it will be, yes, we can start the assessment right now. You can start assessing any administration from any time, even from inception. There is nothing wrong with that. It's all about performance because immediately a government is formed and the president is sworn in. That president, even before election, everybody that is coming up for an election should be prepared. I'm sure you must have articulated your policies. You must have articulated your ideas in different sectors of the nation. You must have also have in mind what you think you will do that will, that will bring solution to the problem of that society. So what I'm saying is that after 1 year, there is nothing wrong to begin to assess any administration. But the truth is that you cannot conclude. There is no end to assessment of performance of any administration. So what we are doing is that we are assessing the performance of this present administration so far from the day of inception, from the day this government was inaugurated, from that point to date. So that is what we are doing. But we are also saying that in the next 3 years, we still expect this government, to improve on the areas they have not done well so far. The 1 year tenure, sorry, 1 year assessment period is a sort, it's just like a postmortem. It's like a period for you to sit down and call a meeting and sit down and ask yourself, within this 1 year we have been in office, what have we achieved? You look at your policies, how are they working? These policies, is there any area we need to improve on? You look at some of the areas you have done. So what are the people talking about them? What improvement have these policies effected in the lives of the people? So that is what every government is expected to do. After 1 year, you sit down, you look at the policies. If there are some areas you need to make amendments, if there are some, officers of the government that are not doing well, you need to call them to order. So that is the essence of the 1 year assessment of any administration. So after that, it is expected that that administration should also improve in their performance so far. It is also expected that that administration should also, put in some policies that will add up to what they have done already. So what I'm saying is that
So
I am not concluding.
butt in here. Let me interrupt you here. Now, if you say the administration after 1 year should have a kind of a retrospect to know whether they are doing well or not, and to listen to what the people are saying about their government. Now, in Nigeria, the federal government and the National Assembly budgeted 120 million, if I'm not making mistake, to buy SUVs for senators and members of the House of Representatives. Nigerians, went about crying. There was an uproar about it. They also budgeted money for a presidential yacht. Okay, Nigerians, you know, shouted about it. I'm not sure if they reversed those policies. They went on. What they did was to review the amount, but they went on with it. And then the government spent 90 million on pilgrimage. Nigerians are shouting. You know, you see the convoy of the president. Now, after 1 year, the federal government is now wanting to buy another aircraft for the president. So, do you think they are actually listening to the people?
It is unfortunate that the crop of leaders we have in Nigeria, these leaders that develop deaf ears, especially when the people are shouting, when the people are crying, when the people are murmuring. In civilized society, every government pay maximum and rapt attention to the people. Every government takes instruction from the opinion of the masses. But it is unfortunate that here in Nigeria we have leaders who have no consideration, leaders who are absolutely insensitive to the yearning and the expectation of the masses. Just like what you said, in the National Assembly, you see what is happening in the National Assembly, alleged padding of budget, and some of the misplacement of priorities going on there. And the people are talking, the people are criticizing, but they don't care. But this, to me, it is an opportunity for the people to also sit back and ask themselves, what are we going to do to checkmate our representatives? What formula, what strategy are we expected to adopt? Since they have failed to listen to the people, since they have decided.
Ah, the network has gone south again. It has gone south again. So bad. Oh, I don't know. I wanted to ask you a question here, about how the people should, relate with their representatives in this kind of situation, considering the obvious underlying facts about how this system and this process works. Let me see if we can reconnect back and try once more. It's really, really bad, the network. But then, let me see if we can reconnect again. Try and reconnect again. Let me see if it gets clearer. And let me know. Network is really, really bad. It's affecting what we're doing. Okay. If you're watching the program, you are free to drop your comments on the comment section. You can pick them up. If you have any question or any submission, any contribution to make in the discussion, you can also drop them on the comment section, and we'll be able to um, read them out as they drop. Remember, this program is We the People. We the People is a current affairs program and a live discussion interview session that we have online, part of the programs of the Universal Heritage Television Nigeria, the only premier online TV in Imo State, Nigeria. And of course, you've seen that our productions and our programs are top notch. Okay, it seems McDonald is back. I hope it connects now. We're having this network issue. Well, this one is beyond our control, okay? So I apologize about that because it's beyond our control. We don't have control over it. It's the network um, down there in Nigeria, what it is, okay? Unfortunately, McDonald is not coming up. Can't connect. Let me see if it will try again. I hope it connects. I hope it connects. Bad network, bad network, bad network, bad network. Okay.
Okay, I'm back.
McDonald, hello.
Network is very
Yeah,
poor
the
here.
network is really, really bad. I understand, and appealing to our viewers to understand, reason with us,
Hmm?
understand what is happening. Okay, so I wanted to ask you another question before that glitch. And the question is now you said the representatives, I mean, the people, it's now left for the people to actually, decide what to do with their representatives, considering the deaf ear, the purported deaf ear that has been given to all their wailings, their cries, and you know the things they are saying.
Mhm.
Now, the only instrument left for the people, as some will say, is the ballot. The ballot box is the only instrument left for the people, because that's what democracy entails. That if the people you elect are not doing what you want, you only wait them at the ballot box, and then ballot them out. But in Nigeria, votes don't count. Now, when votes don't count, what should be left then for the people? What other alternatives do the people have? Because these people already know that the votes don't count. Therefore, they try to. I think we are in a. You are in a. Yeah. Okay. It's better now. So these people, they know that votes don't count, and that is why they have this impunity and careless attitude. So whether they don't care, they know that you are not. Your vote is not going to decide whether they come there. If they don't steal, if they don't leak, if they don't collaborate with the security agencies to manipulate the result and win, they will manipulate the judiciary and, of course, win from the courts. So, what options do Nigerians have? Because it means their votes don't count. Oh, we can't hear you. Can you check your phone? Can you unmute your phone?
Can you hear me
Yeah,
now?
yeah, I can hear you now. Okay, so go on.
I said it's a very pathetic situation because election is the only tool, it's the only instrument for the masses, to express their choice in terms of selecting who they want. It's the only instrument the masses are expected to use any government. But here in Nigeria, the only hope of the masses has been abused. The hope is the election is no more the hope of the masses again. Election does not provide an opportunity or a platform for the people to choose the best leaders that they feel or the people they have confidence in leading them. It is very disheartening and very unfortunate. But to me, no hope is lost. It's all about holding fault. It's all about having more confidence in the system. It's all also about joining hands together and building forces of progressiveness. It's about bringing progressive-minded Nigerians together who will pull their ideas and their forces together to ensure that most of these policies and abnormalities in the system, are eroded. Because if you see what happened in the last general election, you will pity Nigeria. So we still expect that there won't be an opportunity, there won't be a time again when the masses, after filing under the sun, after filing under heavy hamper, and the mandate and the decision of the people will be shortchanged. So I also believe that election will still remain the only way out, the only tool and instrument for the people, for the masses to elect who they feel that to give them good leadership. So in Nigeria, this is an opportunity for us to do a retrospection, to cast our mind back on what happened in the previous elections, which Nigerians have been participating. Are we getting what we want? The expectations of the masses, are they being met? The election processes and those that the masses want, are the processes in town, the electoral system, is it guaranteeing free and fair election? If it is not, it is also late for us to come together and join forces together and put ideas together and also form a very strong repulsive force against the forces of retrogression in Nigeria. So, to me, judging it from that perspective, there is all hope is not lost. Yes, our expectation and our prayer is that time will of the masses will stand. Time will come when the expectation of the masses will be met. Time will come when, after election, the people, the masses really elected will be sworn in accordance with the expectation and the decision of the people. So this calls for this present administration to also sit back. If this administration is really interested or have the interest of the people at heart, especially in correcting the anomalies, in correcting the abnormalities and the dysfunctionalities that has taken hold of our system. So this is the time for this government to sit down, especially to rejig the nation's electoral system, especially to reform the nation's electoral system towards guaranteeing free, fair, and credible election. That is the only opportunity the people have to speak out. That is the only opportunity, the only tool the people have to express their dissatisfaction, to express their disenchantment on the performance of any government. But when this expectation is, being abused, you discover that the hope of the masses, will be trashed.
All right. So we have a few minutes to end the program, and I would like us to come home to Imo State. Like I did say, the media house in Imo State was summoned by the State House of Assembly because of a publication they had concerning a member of the house. And when I took time to read the content of the story, I even discovered that the story has nothing to do with the collective, affairs of the house. It was just an incident concerning a particular member, in his own locality with other of his constituents. So, and people are wondering, I mean, beside the fact that this poses danger for democracy, people are saying Imo State House of Assembly members, are they so idle that there's nothing serious they're doing anymore than to now, descend into such trivial issues of a local constituent? You know.
I think you have answered that question. You have said it all. I think that with utmost respect and with all sense of humility and respect to our distinguished members in the House, what is, to me, what is happening there can best be described as a level of docility, high level of indecency. If that House of Assembly remains what House of Assembly ought to be, they will have no time to engage or to involve themselves into such frivolity. To me, it is a frivolity. Just like you said, there was a publication against a member of the House of Assembly. To him, if that publication, to their best knowledge, is adjudged, to have impugned on his reputation, it has been adjudged, with the intention of damaging or defaming his personality. My dear, there are several laws and legislation out there that backs him and empowers him to take legal action against the publisher or against that media house. So it is totally wrong and unfortunate for them or for such matter to even be tabled at the Hollow Chamber. It is the desecration of the chamber. Such matter is not expected to even appear in the Hollow Chamber at all. It is not a matter of public interest. It is not a matter for the interest of the people of Imo State. It is not a matter that falls within the purview of legislative action. It is a personal matter, and there are laws, there are regulations that guide such action. If you think that the publisher has impugned on your reputation, if you think that the publisher have done what is wrong in your own judgment, there are ways to take. You are expected by law to take action, not to involve in such frivolities. So to me, I think the House of Assembly misfired. There are laws of defamation. There are even the current cybercrime law is there too. So if you feel, even though that law, does not empower the police or the House of Assembly to take action they want to take. So if you feel that your reputation has been impugned, if you feel that that information,
Unfortunately, the trend today is that the cybercrime law is now being used by the government, the security agencies, big men, even church leaders. They are now using the cybercrime law as the old Decree 2, as we had it by the military government. That's what they're using now to crack down on dissenting voices. They're using it to crack down on opposition, dissenting voices, the media, anybody that doesn't agree with them. They use that cybercrime. That's the latest instrument of, what I say, suppression, oppression, gagging, intimidation, harassment of citizens now.
yes, but it's unfortunate. The Cybercrime Prevention and the Prohibition Act 2015 is very, very clear. It is unfortunate that that same old law is being used by security agencies to victimize and harass journalists and other persons they perceived to be opposition voices in the society. That law has been repealed. Precisely section 24 of that same law has been repealed. It has been invalidated and declared null and void by the ECOWAS Court of Justice. So no security agency, no member of the House of Assembly, nobody is expected to prosecute any individual by virtue of section 24 of that Cybercrime Prevention and Prohibition Act. So the onus and the content of that particular section has been repealed. So what I'm saying is that such publications you cannot seek redress on the basis of that Cybercrime Prevention and Prohibition Act. No. So any publication, because it has been clearly expressed. So such publication that was done by a watchdog newspaper cannot, you can't seek redress hiding under that same law to persecute the publisher of that newspaper. So what I'm trying to say, the original intention of the framers of that cybercrime law, to me, it was to build up an institutional framework to regulate or to prevent cyber crimes or other hate speeches against individuals in the country. But it is quite unfortunate that later the substance of that law, was abused. The substance of that law was also turned upside down with the sole intent of gagging the press, with the sole intent of returning us back to the authoritarian, press system, with the sole intent of victimizing and harassing and fighting dissident and opposing voices in the society. But to me, I think that members of the society should also take note that no security agent from any agency, no member of the House of Assembly, nobody is expected to prosecute or to harass, relying on that repealed law, cybercrime prevention and
Okay,
prevention
so
law.
so I come to
So
the last issue. I will come to the last issue now, which is in the journey to this democracy, especially during the military era and the June 12th era, we had journalists who, you know, displayed resilience, who displayed doggedness, who displayed, uncommon bravery and guts to confront and challenge the authorities at that time, which is what we are enjoying today. Even prior to June 12th, we've had the cases of what's his name, the Newswatch publisher. What's his name again? The man that was killed with a letter bomb, Delegiwa, and yeah,
delegate.
and several other matters of the media. They showed uncommon bravery. Today, do you see the Nigerian media as responsible as we had at that time? Do you see them as patriotic as what we had at that time? Do you see the Nigerian media practitioners today as people who have the kind of patriotic zeal and resilience, doggedness that these guys showcased to fight and confront the military at that time that led us to this democracy that all of us are enjoying today, if actually we're enjoying anything.
Yes, to me, yes, we have such crop of media practitioners here in Nigeria. But the problem is that it is unfortunate there are some restrictions that have been put in place, to frustrate the free operation of the free operation of media practitioners in Nigeria. This present administration or successive administrations, have set up some restrictive policies and the legislations that were antithetical, that were antithetical to the free operation of media in Nigeria. Just like you said, during the time of Delegate, we have resilient practitioners. We have people who we are very patriotic to the core. We have very courageous people who we are focused in discharging the onerous responsibility of media practitioner in Nigeria. Yes, even presently, we still have such, media practitioners who are keen to the essence of their professionalism, who are keen in discharging the mandate of media profession in Nigeria. But it is unfortunate that successive government or administrations in Nigeria have succeeded, have earmarked media practitioners, as enemies of their government. It don't supposed to be so. This has ended up in frustrating the talks, in frustrating the free operation of media in Nigeria. It has made it so difficult, it has made it so burden for these practitioners to exercise or to exercise and to practice their profession in Nigeria without any intimidation and harassment. If you see what is happening here in Nigeria, security agents, any security agent can easily descend on any journalist, pick him up, harass him or her, detain him without persecution. Opposition politicians can just decide to descend on any practitioner without no just cause.
All right.
And there are laws who have been made to protect the free operation of media profession in Nigeria. But unfortunately, they have been seen as opposing voices. And this has really, triggered, and this has also really gagged the operation of media practitioners in Nigeria. So this is an opportunity for even the media practitioners to themselves to come together and also speak with one voice and condemn totally in total against the gagging of press in Nigeria.
Okay, on that note, we are going to draw the curtain for today. We've come to the end of the program. I want to thank you immensely, Prince McDonald Emre. Prince McDonald Emre is a public affairs commentator, and he's been able to analyze issues with us today. He joined us from Owerri, the Imo State capital, and we thank you for being part of the program today.
Thank you very much, Abdul. I'm very happy for having me.
So, dear viewer, here we'll come to the end of the program. It's with the people who've looked at the 29 years of democracy in Nigeria and narrowing media space, in Nigeria under the Tinubu administration. And I mean, from all we've said here, we think journalists need to brace up because it seems these guys are testing waters. So by the time they succeed with one or two journalists, and they see that journalists cannot actually fight back, then there's going to be a massive crackdown. Even though to some of us it's ironical that the president, who operates so many media outfits, who knows what the media is, who passed through the rank and file of struggle, will actually be on that seat, and some of these things are happening. So we are using this opportunity to join other people who are calling on the president to release all people behind bars who are victims of freedom of expression. They should be released. We call that the president should release all of them. All the NSAS participants who are languishing in jails today, they should be released. All the agitators, Sunday Bohu is free now. What's his name again? The police guy, the guy that was in Kuje prison. What's his name again? I've forgotten his name. The the big police guy who was involved in the hush money. Who was involved in the hush puppy matter. Abakiari.
Abakari.
Yeah, Abakiari has been released, and so many of them have been released. So why is Nnamdi Kanu still in detention? Nnamdi Kanu should be at home now. So we are calling on President Tinubu to be a father of all and show equal treatment to all. Don't consider one section of the country and then persecute the other section of the country. That would be very, very unjust. You are the president now. You should be the father for everybody and care for everybody. All right. On this note, I'm drawing the curtain for today. I want to thank you all for watching and tell you that we're going to be back hopefully on Thursday for another edition of this program. Same time, 7 p.m. Nigerian time. Until I come that time, I say bye bye and enjoy yourself. Thanks.